Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Prashant Kumar Sinha, and with me is Reshma Tiwari, bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. President Ramnath Kovind addresses the nation on the eve of 75th Independence Day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to lead the celebration of India's 75th year of independence from ramparts of Red Fort. Government of India declares 14th of August to be observed as Partition Horrors Remembrance Day. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani vows to galvanize the country's armed forces as Taliban fighters edge closer to Kabul. Latest data finds July was the hottest month ever recorded globally. 4 more Indian wetlands get recognition as Ramsar sites. In cricket, England resume innings from overnight score of 119 for 3 in the second Test match against India. And in football, Manchester United kick off Premier League campaign in style with a 5-1 win over Leeds United. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years of age is underway, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and to help others to get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. Now the news in detail. President Ramnath Kovind has called upon countrymen to imbibe the motto of Har Kaam Desh Ke Naam as a mantra and work with full devotion and dedication for the development of the nation. The motto Har Kaam Desh Ke Naam means that each and every deed of an Indian is for the nation. Recalling his recent visit to the War Memorial in Baramulla on the occasion of Kargil Vijay Divas, Mr. Kovind said that the War Memorial has the motto inscribed. Addressing the nation on the eve of 75th Independence Day, the President asked all countrymen to take India forward on the path of progress with the spirit of keeping the interest of the nation and society foremost.
The War Memorial has a motto inscribed, Mera Har Kaam Desh Ke Naam, which means each and every deed of mine is for the nation. All of us should imbibe this motto as a mantra and work with full devotion and dedication for the development of the nation. I would like that all of us come together to take India forward on the path of progress with the spirit of keeping the interest of the nation and society foremost.
Extending his best wishes to the countrymen on the occasion of Independence Day, Mr. Kovind said, the day holds a special significance as it marks the beginning of the 75th year of India's independence, for which Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is being celebrated. Hailing India's performance in the recently concluded Tokyo Olympics, Mr. Kovind said India's sportspersons have brought laurels to the nation with their stellar performance. He said the country's daughters have achieved world-class excellence in playgrounds, overcoming many adversities.
Our daughters have achieved world-class excellence in playgrounds, overcoming many adversities. Along with the sports, epoch-making changes are taking place in the participation and success of women in all walks of life. From higher educational institutions to armed forces, from laboratories to playgrounds, our daughters are making their mark. In this success of our daughters, I see a glimpse of a developed India of the future.
Speaking about the COVID pandemic, the President has cautioned that the intensity of the pandemic might have come down, but the coronavirus has not yet gone away. He said the country is yet to come out of the devastating effects of its recurrence this year. He praised corona warriors, doctors, nurses and health workers, administrators and others who risked everything to contain the impact of the second wave. Mr. Kovind said the second wave brought the country's public healthcare infrastructure under stress and all efforts were being made on war footing to plug the gaps. Mr. Kovind expressed gratitude to the global fraternity that came forward to help India during the crisis.
I am grateful to the global fraternity that came forward with a helping hand. Due to these efforts, the nation breathes a sigh of relief with the return of a semblance of normalcy. If we have learned our lessons well, we know that this is the time of extra care and caution. We shall not let our guard down. Vaccines are the best possible protection science offers to us. Under the world's biggest vaccination campaign going on in our country, more than 50 crore fellow citizens have been vaccinated so far.
Touching upon the aspect of economic impact of the pandemic, Mr. Kovind said the government has been concerned about the lower middle class and the poor, as well as the small and medium industries. He said it has been sensitive to the needs of laborers and of employers who have been facing hardships due to lockdowns and movement restrictions. He said the government took a series of relief measures last year as well as this year. He said it is heartening to note that an amount of 23,220 crore rupees is being spent over 1 year for expansion of medical facilities. Highlighting the importance of parliamentary democracy, President Kovind said, Parliament is the temple of democracy which provides highest forum to discuss, debate and decide issues for the well-being of the people. The President said it is a matter of great pride for all Indians that Parliament will soon be housed in a new building. The President also acknowledged that India still has a long way to go in realizing the dreams of those who won the freedom for the country. He said India's constitution neatly summarizes those dreams in 4 words: justice, liberty, equality and fraternity.
We must strive for more equality in an unequal world, more justice in unjust circumstances. Justice has come to encompass a large range of connotations, including economic and environmental justice. The road ahead is not easy. We will have to negotiate many twists and turns, but we have the benefit of incomparable guidance.
Touching on the issue of climate change, Mr. Kovind said modern industrial civilization has posed serious challenges before humankind. Climate change has become a reality of life with seas rising, glaciers melting and temperatures soaring. He said India is proud of not only adhering to the Paris Climate Agreement, but doing more than what the country has committed to protect the climate. However, he said the world desperately needs a course correction.
India will celebrate its 75th year of independence on Sunday. The Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, as the celebration is called, marks the 75th year of independence from the foreign rule. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had launched Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav from Sabarmati Ashram, Ahmedabad in Gujarat in March 2021 to celebrate 75 years of India's independence. The celebrations will continue till the 15th of August 2023. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will lead the nation in celebrating this historic 75th Independence Day from the ramparts of the Red Fort in New Delhi on Sunday. He will hoist the national flag and deliver the customary address to the nation. After being hoisted, the tricolour will receive a Rashtra salute. The Navy band, consisting of 16 men, will play the national anthem during hoisting of the national flag and the Rashtra salute. 32 Olympic winners, including javelin thrower Subedar Neeraj Chopra, India's first ever gold medalist in track and field, along with 2 Sports Authority of India officials, have been invited to participate in the Independence Day celebrations at the Red Fort. In Tokyo, India recorded its best ever medal haul in the Olympics by bagging a total of 7 medals, 1 gold, 2 silver and 4 bronze. To honor the Corona warriors who played a vital role in fighting the pandemic, a separate block on the south side of the rampart has been created. External Affairs Minister of India Dr. Jaishankar said that India will be marking a historic milestone in the journey of a civilizational stage towards a contemporary nation on the 15th of August. The minister was speaking at the ICCR Gala performance held on Friday in the run-up to the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrating 75 years of India's independence. Dr. Jaishankar said that the moment is one for celebration but equally for introspection and renewed resolve. Paying homage to the sacrifice of the freedom fighters, Dr. Jaishankar said that India is driving a rebalancing process that is creating a multipolar world. The celebration of the International Day of Yoga is symbolic of India's heritage. Traditions and practices are once again getting recognition. The minister also said that the 75th year as a free nation is also the starting point to envision the Indian centenary. Meanwhile, the government has decided to observe 14th August as the Partition Horrors Remembrance Day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the day would be dedicated to the struggles and sacrifices of people who lost their lives due to the partition of the nation and were displaced from their roots. The partition of India caused one of the largest migrations in human history, affecting about 20 million people. Millions of families had to abandon their roots and were forced to find a new life as refugees. In a series of tweets, Prime Minister Modi made the solemn announcement. He said that partition's pains can never be forgotten. He added that the observance of the Partition Horrors Remembrance Day would keep reminding people of the need to remove the poison of social divisions, disharmony, and further strengthen the spirit of oneness, social harmony, and human empowerment.
President of Afghanistan, Mr. Ashraf Ghani, has vowed not to give up the achievements of the past 20 years and is hoping to galvanize the country's armed forces as Taliban fighters edge closer to Kabul. In a televised address, Mr. Ghani said that the remobilization of its security and defense forces is the top priority and serious steps are being taken in this regard. Mr. Ghani added that consultations within and outside Afghanistan were taking place to try to end the conflict. The United States imposed additional sanctions on Cuban military and security leaders on Friday. In a statement, the U.S. State Department said that the sanctions were in response to Cuba's suppression of peaceful protesters on and after 11th of July. The statement added that the sanctions were pursuant to the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. The sanctioned individuals and entities, including Romarico Garcia of the Cuban Ministry of the Interior, Pedro Fernandez, chief of the Political Directorate of the Cuban National Revolutionary Police of the Cuban Ministry of Revolutionary Armed Forces, MINFAR. Since the 11th of July, Cuba is facing its biggest demonstration in almost 30 years. Thousands of people are protesting against Cuba's government in the capital Havana and several other cities. The demonstrations come as the country reports a record number of COVID infections. Earlier in the month, Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel had blamed the U.S. for the unrest.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar spoke to Brunei Foreign Minister Haji Irwan on Saturday. Both leaders exchanged perspectives on the situation in Myanmar. Dr. Jaishankar said in a tweet that India is in full support of the ASEAN initiative. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
More than 54 crore COVID vaccine doses have been administered in India so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry informed that nearly 52 lakh vaccine doses administered on Saturday till 7 p.m. And in today's Hotspot section, we bring you listeners a discussion on President Ramnath Kovind's address to the nation on the eve of India's Independence Day. In conversation are Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Nilab Srivastav, journalist.
Iyer Saab, in all, the address of the president virtually touches upon every subject, and I think this was also one of the addresses where he spoke about many things that in the last 75 years India has achieved, many things that still remain, and the challenges that are ahead of us.
Indeed, Nilabji, President's address was very, very special because of tomorrow marks the beginning of the 75th year of India's independence, and which is being celebrated as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So the President's address, dwelt on several things, as you mentioned, in particular reminding all of us that this day did not come to us so easily. It was made possible because generations of freedom fighters, made great sacrifices. And if we are today free, it is because of their sacrifices. And particularly the role played by Mahatma Gandhi, which was who spearheaded our nationalist movement and purely based on the principles of truth and non-violence. So therefore, we must remember how Gandhiji's struggle was intended to return to Indian ethos and for human dignity. That is why when we have completed 75 years of journey, the President wants us to look back as to how far we have traveled, as you mentioned, the challenges that are ahead, and also the new situation created by Corona or COVID-19, which has actually put a lot of stress on all sectors. And of course, the President reminded us, maybe our progress has been slow, but it has been steady. And told us that even Gandhiji taught us that it is better to be slow and steady in the right direction rather than make wrong steps, even if we see some, quick results. So therefore, what has happened in India since independence is nothing short of a miracle, because India is a home of plurality of traditions and it is one of the most vibrant democracies. Now, President remarks are indeed very special because, the entire foundation of our independence movement and subsequently is built on the parliamentary form of democracy. And the President reminded us, look, we have proved all skeptics wrong, because when India achieved freedom in 1947, there were many critics who thought that India could never hold, that because of, there were so many princely states and so many different people, so many different languages. So there were many people who said, well, India may not be able to withstand. But what we have seen today, not only we have grown in unity, but also our diversity has also been amplified by the way we have built institutions. We have achieved success in several sectors. And President was particularly happy to note that our sportsmen have brought laurels, particularly at the Tokyo Olympics, with their stellar performance, and that he reminded us to encourage our daughters particularly to take to sports, because the future lies in promoting our daughters, encouraging our daughters so that they get a lot of opportunities for growth. Nilab.
Right. We have been facing the COVID-19 or the coronavirus pandemic the last 2 years. That is, everything has been around it. Whatever has happened to the COVID-19 situation has led a direction, whether it is economy, whether it is social life, whether it is any other decision that as an individual or as a country anyone takes. And the President did make a mention about it. It spoke about the deadly second wave, the kind of unprecedented crisis that India and the globe faced. He also said, while he said that vaccines are the best possible protection which everyone should have, 50 crore fellow citizens have been vaccinated so far. He also spoke about the economic impact of the pandemic. And in the same breath, I would like you to speak on the kind of impact that rural India had. And also he spoke about the agriculture sector, that despite all these factors, we had a record production of food grains in the country. So I think these two are very important factors when it comes to ensuring the security and progress of the country, Mr. Iyer.
Exactly, Nilabji. I think the President did not mince word, bringing out the kind of disaster that we have seen in the lives of common people following COVID. And particularly the economic impact of the pandemic has been very severe, just as the health impact has been. And in that context, the President mentioned how the government has been concerned about lower class, middle class, the poor, as well as small and medium industries, and particularly the day laborers, and also employers who have been facing hardships due to lockdown and movement restriction. That is why we saw COVID packages being announced last August, and subsequently also several incentives, to boost productivity, to help the small entrepreneurs, particularly MSMEs, to overcome. And that is why the President mentioned about the government's decision to distribute food grains free of cost to about 80 crore people in May and June. And now, just as they had done last year, this year also it is going to go on till Diwali. And also the stimulus package that has come, more than 6,28,000 crore has been announced for all the COVID-affected sectors. And in this context, the President also mentioned the fact that the government is paying very special attention to improving and upgrading our health infrastructure. In this context, he mentioned about the cabinet decision to sanction 23,000 crore to be spent over a year for improving medical facilities, adding more beds, creating more ICU beds, as well as providing care for children, pediatric care in all our hospitals, particularly at the district level. And the President noted, look, India lives in villages. There is no doubt about it. All our schemes, all our programs are tuned to improve the lot of the villages. Recently, the President had traveled to his ancestral village in Kanpur, Dehat, and where he was very happy to note that in his own village, how things have been changed over the last few years, particularly the infrastructure is being developed even in rural areas to bring the life better. And particularly the President noted the psychological distance between the urban and the rural is now much less, because The whole idea is to provide all those facilities which hitherto considered to be available only in big cities are now being brought to the villages, whether it is internet connectivity, whether it is banking facilities or even e-learning. So therefore, the President noted how there are special schemes, particularly for farmers, the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, which is being implemented where they are being given money at least twice a year before the cropping season so that they can utilize that money for whatever post-harvest expenses, Nilabji.
The President also mentioned about the Constitution. What does the Constitution summarize and tells the country? The 4 words of justice, liberty, equality and fraternity are what the Constitution tells us, and that the country must strive for more equality in an unequal world. He also has a word of caution that the road ahead will not be easy. We may have to negotiate many twists and turns. And this is with regard to the kind of economic and environmental justice that we are looking at. And in that context, I want to bring in the climate change discussion, the topic that President mentioned. Now, we also very recently have seen the IPCC international report where global warming is a problem which has been there in the space so long, so in the discussions, but I think it is now more underlined. And in that context, the President said these issues remain a challenge for us and every citizen's duty, something that kind of environment conservation and commitment has to be done. So that is also to be kept in mind. The President also gave some time to the kind of climate change developments that are being witnessed in the country, Mr. Iyer.
Definitely. You mentioned about climate change. In that context, he also said, look, for us, combating the climate change is going to be a tough choice, but definitely we are committed because we are already adhering to whatever we pledged at the Paris Climate Conference. But the entire world will also have to do something because the course correction is needed. And for us, we have our own civilizational ethos, which is to be in harmony with the nature. And it was reflected in the lives of the great people like Mahatma Gandhi. So therefore, we already have this art of living founded on, in tune with nature. So therefore, it is very important that we face the future, we face the challenges ahead with a lot of confidence, remembering our heritage, remembering our civilizational values in a spirit of community service, in a spirit of working together. Nilab.
The President closed his address as he thanked the members of the armed forces for guarding the borders of the country, for guarding every citizen of the country. And also he extended the greetings to the Indian diaspora, who he said has represented the motherland well wherever they have made their home to be. While wishing the country on the 75th Independence Day, he said that he looks forward and imagines for a very powerful, prosperous and peaceful India in 2047 when the country will celebrate 100 years of its independence. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Mr. Iyer.
Thank you, Dila.
July was the hottest month globally ever recorded according to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. The latest data released by the NOAA on Friday found that the combined land and ocean surface temperature was 0.93 degrees Celsius above the 20th century average. This makes it the hottest July since record keeping began 142 years ago. The data comes in the wake of the sobering 6th assessment report of the IPCC on climate change. The report stated that global surface temperature will continue to increase beyond 2 degrees Celsius until at least the mid-century under all the emissions scenarios it considered. The report also warned of an increase in the frequency of extreme weather events as well as reductions in Arctic sea ice, snow cover and permafrost. A 7.2 magnitude earthquake struck Haiti on Saturday. According to reports, the United States Geological Survey (USGS) said that the long shock was felt throughout the country and material damage was recorded in the southwestern peninsula of the island. The epicenter of the quake was at sea around 8 kilometers from the town of Petit Trudenets at a depth of 10 kilometers. A tsunami alert was issued after the quake. The tremors were felt in Haiti's capital city, Port-au-Prince, which is located 153 kilometers from Petit-Trou.
Moving on to sports, in the English Premier League, Manchester United were off to a flying start as they beat Leeds United 5-1. Bruno Fernandes scored a hat-trick for the home side. In archery, India on Saturday won gold medals in the compound cadet, women's and men's and mixed team events in the ongoing World Youth Championships in Wroclaw. The women defeated Turkey 228 to 216 in the final to win a gold medal, while the cadet men's team followed, getting the better of USA in the final. The Indian team comprised of Parneet Kaur, Priya Gurjar and Riddhi Varshini, and they brought out a dominant performance to throw opponents Turkey off their mark. India's cadet men's team of Kushal Dalal, Sahil Chaudhary and Nitin Apar upset the top seeds of USA, beating them 233 to 231 in a thrilling final. In the second cricket test, resuming from their overnight score of 119 for 3, England were 378 for the loss of 9 wickets in their first innings against India on day 3 at the Lord's Cricket Ground in London when reports last came in. Unbeaten Joe Root's brilliant 170 helped hosts to take lead in the first innings. England is now leading by 14 runs. Earlier, KL Rahul's impressive 129 and Rohit Sharma's gutsy 83 knock helped India score 364 runs. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Guardian says Afghan president in urgent talks as Taliban push closer to Kabul. Globe and Mail posts Ottawa ministers vow to bring 20,000 Afghan refugees to safety. Washington Post reports Britain's first mass shooting in more than a decade leaves 5 dead plus suspected gunmen. Sputnik News posts 7.2 magnitude earthquake hits Haiti, causes tsunami warning. Sputnik News posts 6.9 magnitude earthquake strikes off the Alaska coast. South China Morning Post says U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan told to destroy files in case Taliban wins. And Financial Times writes tighter U.S. bond market could dull pressures on treasury prices from QE tapering.
4 more wetlands from India get recognition from the Ramsar Secretariat as Ramsar sites. The sites are Tol and Vadwana from Gujarat and Sultanpur and Bhindwas from Haryana. With this, the number of Ramsar sites in India are 46 and the surface area covered by these sites is now 1083,322 hectares. In a tweet, India's Environment Minister, Mr. Bhupendra Yadav, expressed happiness and stated that it is the Prime Minister's special concern for the environment which has led to overall improvement in India and how India cares for its wetlands. The aim of the Ramsar list is to develop and maintain an international network of wetlands which are important for the conservation of global biological diversity and for sustaining human life through the maintenance of their ecosystem components, processes and benefits.
A quick look at the headlines once again. President Ramnath Kovind addresses the nation on the eve of 75th Independence Day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to lead the celebration of India's 75th year of independence from ramparts of Red Fort. Government of India declares 14th of August to be observed as Partition Horrors Remembrance Day. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani vows to galvanize the country's armed forces as Taliban fighters edge closer to Kabul. Latest data finds July was the hottest month ever recorded globally. 4 more Indian wetlands get recognition as Ramsar sites. In cricket, England resume innings from overnight score of 119 for 3 in the second test match against India. And in football, Manchester United kick off Premier League campaign in style with a 5-1 win over Leeds United. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let's listen to his favorite bhajan Vaishnavajan by artists from South Korea on their National Day.
Vaishnavajan tu tehne kahiye de pihir parai tane rahe paratu ke upkar kar tu ye man abhiman nahane rahe pakarai rukma sahne pande nindana kare kheni rahe bach khach manen niptala.
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of the World News.
Thank you.